What's going on, everybody? Shonen Express here, coming to you with another weekly newsletter. I'm excited to get into this. A lot of stuff happened this week. Some great manga came out this week. Some great chapters, and so I'm excited to get into it. So let's just go. First of all, the cover this week was One Piece, and the cover art itself was okay. Just simply Luffy with a kind of a interesting designed pirate flag he's got there, with his arms stretched out. It was an okay design, but nothing that blew my socks off. You know what I mean? It was just kind of like a basic Luffy, and so nothing really that stood out there. However, the color spread for One Piece this week was awesome. So this color spread showed Usopp and Nami. They're playing video games, and what they're clearly playing is a One Piece version of Super Smash Bros. Right? You see Jinbei in like the Mario outfit back there. I think Luffy is clearly supposed to be like Ken from Street Fighter with the fire and the red gi thing there, with Frankie as Donkey Kong, and you see all this. I love Zoro as Link. It was a really amazing color spread. I'm a big Super Smash Bros. Ultimate fan. I'm a big Super Smash Bros. Really the franchise in general fan. So it was really cool to see. I loved seeing this color spread. It was one of my favorite color spreads, probably, that I've seen so far from One Piece. So definitely a great color spread for sure this week. But this chapter got into some incredible things this week. First of all, Rob Lucci is here. I knew that at some point in the future, it was likely that Rob Lucci was going to come back and he was going to be a player in the story again. But he is going to be in Wano, guys. I think Rob Lucci is coming. I think he's going to be a player in this arc. And that makes me super excited. And it actually gives me some ideas for, how the raid on Onigashima could quote-unquote fail. As some other One Piece YouTubers have claimed. I don't know that Kaido has to win. I think, could the world government come in and take over Wano, and could this be the end of Act 3, where the world government with Rob Lucci and whoever else they bring comes in, takes over Wano? I think that's a possibility, and I love that Rob Lucci's here. I am super excited to see how much stronger Rob Lucci has gotten. I think one of the interesting things about One Piece is we've seen the Straw Hat Pirates, we've seen them kind of grow and get stronger and stronger as the series goes, but we don't have an opportunity to see most of these villains who we fought in the beginning of the series come back. And I say the beginning, Water 7 Nenny's Lobby is like pretty well into the series, but we don't usually get to see those characters come back and see how strong they are now. And so I really hope that we get to see that with Rob Lucci. We have a great idea of how strong he was back then, so I'm very interested to see where he has gone since then. But that's enough about that. But I'm super excited. It makes me think all kinds of things about this raid, and I'm very ready for what's going to happen next. But the next thing I want to talk about is Queen. So, I thought this was hilarious. I gotta be honest, when I first read this chapter, I didn't love the Brachiosnakeus thing, right? However, I think, upon thinking about it, I do love it. Queen is a cyborg, his body's heavily modified. I don't love that what they're saying here is that a Brachiosaur could just do this, this is like the appropriate function of a Brachiosaurus, in nature. I don't love that, because I think that Brachiosaurs are really cool dinosaurs and they don't have to have weird snake-like gimmicks, but at the same time, it was hilarious. I love that his lower half is modified with the cannons, and oh my gosh, when they shoot him in the back twice, that was hilarious. This is a really funny Queen chapter. Queen is a really great character. I think probably one of my favorite members of the Beast Pirates is Queen. So I loved this. I loved that Queen was involved here. I loved the jokes. They were really good. And the last thing I want to mention about this chapter is Sanji. Sanji seems to have finally inherited some kind of Germa power-up. Like his siblings who are unaffected by the physical damage, Sanji looks like that's happening to him. And what great timing for that to apply. I I like this, but I also have some problems with this, right? My biggest question is why only now has this come into play? How do these genetic modifications work? Maybe I just don't understand them, but it seemed like Sanji didn't have them, but now he does. Is it something about putting on the raid suit? Did that do that to him? Either way, I'm very interested to see where the story goes from here, but it was a great One Piece chapter this week, guys. Definitely fantastic. As far as new things or things ending, nothing this week. We didn't have any new chapters, and we didn't have any things that ended. I believe that in Japan, they had like a trial run of a manga called Vroom, I think. But that wasn't localized here in the West, so I didn't include that obviously in this video because I didn't read it, because I don't know where to read it. But yeah, as far as anything new in the magazine that we saw, nothing. We didn't get anything there, and nothing ended. But on break was Jujutsu Kaisen. Jujutsu Kaisen has definitely kicked it up a notch, so it's no real surprise that Agutami wants to be on break. They are frequently on break as of late, and so that's totally fine. Jujutsu Kaisen's a great manga. I hope they come back ready to go. But as for now, we're not going to make a big fuss about it. So that leads us to the color pages this week, and we only have 2 color pages of the magazine. And the first one goes to Dr. Stone. Dr. Stone this week was a good chapter. The color page itself was, it was good. Don't get me wrong, it was definitely a good color page, but I love Boichi's artwork. I think Boichi, his color pages are super vivid. His coloring, I think, almost adds more detail to his already incredibly detailed artwork. But this color page felt a little crowded to me, is what I'll say. But it was still good. Still good for sure. I wish it was a double page spread. I wish that we got like the other half of Senku's face, but it was still good. It was still a good picture. As far as the chapter itself, I love the stuff with Ryusui, how he's like an evil mastermind, with hhis brother there, Sai, and they're like, his brother's like, yeah, video games are great, and Ryusui's like, yeah, we can control the masses with money. I think Ryusui's like funny. He is one of my favorite characters in the series, and this was just a funny, good moment with him. Also, the computer that is finally done is massive. What I really like about this is, first of all, it has the processing power of an NES, which is incredible that this much space needs to be taken up for that. And it just, I think, reminds you of how incredible the technology that we have is. I mean, the computers that size were made in our real world. These were some of the first computers. And so it's really interesting to see this in Dr. Stone, to see kind of the origin of this computing function. I like it. I think it's really cool. I love that Sai already has some simple video games that you could play on it. That's really funny. He was ready to go with this coding, so I love that. I love that for sure. But as the chapter goes on, we see that they put the Medusa device in a vacuum tube, and then it explodes. It goes off, assumedly petrifying everyone around. And first of all, oh my word, is Dr. Stone great at this. I feel safe. I feel like where we are is a good spot. There's nothing probably crazy gonna happen. We're at a good place here. And then the Medusa device goes off and blows up. I really think that Dr. Stone is really good at this, and I was super shocked when I read this chapter. Like, jaw hit the floor, man. This was intense. And I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know how they're gonna get out of this. I often wonder that with many manga, but Dr. Stone for sure. I don't know what's gonna happen or how they're gonna get out of this. This seems like it was totally out of the blue, and I have no idea what happened to make this thing go off. But I'm super excited to see. So we will see in the coming weeks, I'm sure. But that brings us to the second manga that got a color page this week, and that is Witch Watch. A manga that I don't often talk about on this channel, but glad that I get the opportunity. This is why I started talking about the color pages every week, so I would have the opportunity to talk about manga like Witch Watch that I don't super prefer, in my everyday, just basic reading of it. I don't highlight it very much. The color page itself, I will say, was definitely was interesting. I like the picture itself. I think the picture was really good. I like that it shows the four of them walking through a town that, is nice. It was a nice color page. It's got the problem where it's sideways that I don't love, but it's a one-page spread, so that's what you got to do. But it was a good color page. I liked it. And the chapter itself was okay. Chapter I don't have any complaints about. I love that Nemu, she's going there just to get petted again. That's the whole reason she's there. And as she's there, Keigo, or the werewolf side of Keigo, finds out that she, he puts two and two together and knows what happens. And they go to talk and then make this deal where she has to show up once a month to let him out. I just really like the werewolf side of Keigo. I think that he's a cool character, and I really hope we see more of him. But as of right now, this chapter was really cool. And then Nemu's, absolute infatuation with him. I love that she's now kind of torn between Morihito, or Moe, and the werewolf. I love that. I think that's really interesting. But yeah, that's really all I had to say about this chapter. Good chapter, funny chapter. I like the stuff with Nemu. It's always kind of funny and uncomfortable, but it was good. It was definitely good. Which brings me to my highlights. And this week I get to have 4 highlights, guys. This is probably more highlights than I'm going to get for a while. So I'm going to soak up the highlight reel here. And the first one I want to highlight is My Hero Academia. Guys, I tried hard not to highlight this again, but I feel like I have to. It's getting good again, guys. It's getting really good. So really, I don't have that many things to say. First of all for One's plan is bigger than I ever thought, right? I think, and I kind of talked about this last week in my newsletter, that I was worried that the world would become too small with this inclusion. But I think it's easy in My Hero Academia to forget that Japan is just one country and not the whole world in this universe. And so I love that we find out that All for One's plans are much bigger. I think that that's super cool, and I like that a lot. Also, what is Star and Stripes' quirk? I'm super interested to see what her ability is. Why is it so powerful that All for One thinks that if he has that quirk, it's pretty much game over? The wars of formality, I believe he says. And so I really want to know what that quirk is, and I'm excited to see the fight, because at the end of the chapter, we get to see Shigaraki roll up on her enforcement, her legion of fighters that she's standing on top of. I really like this. I'm so interested to see this fight. I hope that it takes place in the sky where they are. But Shigaraki is back. He is up earlier than we thought, and he is ready to go. I love that. I think it's amazing. And I can't wait. I can't wait to see more from My Hero Academia. I love when this manga is doing good. I'm a big fan of My Hero Academia on the arcs that's on an upswing, and this is one of those arcs I feel like we are headed into an upswing, and so I'm excited for that. But that brings us to my next highlight, which this week is going to be Mashle, Magic, and Muscles. I'm glad I get to highlight it this week because I really do love this manga, and so I'm glad to talk about it at any opportunity I can. First of all, I love the public outcry. This is a natural and logical consequence of what's been happening. This is the first time the public actually knows about MASH, and they know that MASH doesn't have magic abilities. And so, of course, there would be this public outcry. That makes sense, and I'm glad that we got to see it. But more than that, I love the defense. I love Lemon's, I'm his wife, and then, oh my word, I can't remember the explosion guy's name. But he comes out and he says, yeah, I'm his lawyer. And he's like, the verdict is everybody go to hell. I thought that was hilarious. And MASH didn't even send him out there to say that. He just said that on his own, and I thought that was really funny. But I also really liked MASH's speech. I love how MASH is all about, listen, if I'm wrong, prove me wrong. Come out here and fight me. Or not even fight me. Just come out and prove me wrong. I'm going to prove myself right. I'm going out here and I'm going to win this thing. I always love those moments, and this is another one of those moments that happened this week. And then I liked what Wahlberg kind of implied at the end, that if MASH loses this, it's not just MASH that's going to get punished. His friends are going to be punished for helping him. And so even more is riding on the line for MASH, and of course MASH says, I'm going to prove it, I'm going to do it. I like Mashle, I like it a lot. I'm so glad that it's still in the magazine, and and in my opinion, definitely become very successful in the magazine. I hope it runs for a long while after this, but I definitely enjoyed it this week. Which brings me to highlight number 3, which is Black Clover. And so for those of you who don't know, when I do my highlights, I don't do them in any particular order other than the order that they appear on the Viz website. I just kind of go down the list, right? But if I did rank them in order of what chapter did I like the most this week, Black Clover would be at the top. I don't often highlight Black Clover, and I think that it goes underrated in my mind a lot. I think that I've really written off Black Clover sometimes, but this chapter, like, reignited my life. It made me want to reread the series. It reignited this love for this manga that I have, that I forgot about, that I didn't remember even was there. And so, let's just get into it. So, I thought that they had it. I thought that Langris and Finral were going to take the win. I thought they had it against Xenon. I thought he was going down, and obviously he was not. And then we see Yuno go through this inner monologue of almost giving up on his goal on saving these guys. And honestly, this was very, very understandable to me. I'm sitting there just thinking, of course this would happen. Of course, he's upset and he's depressed like this. And so that made sense to me. But when he gets up and when he says, he gets up and he says, "This is not all that I am." I was sitting reading that and I felt energized. I love stuff like this. I love when manga does this. When I sit there and I feel these emotions. I feel his depression and then I feel him getting up. This is awesome. This was an amazing chapter. The artwork, obviously, off the charts. I love this. I think it's great. It definitely deserves more. And then, what the heck was going on at the end? He has 2 grimoires now. One from the Spade Kingdom. I mean, it makes sense if he's really a Spade Kingdom prince. But I'm super into that. I absolutely want to know what happens next week. I want to know what these 2 grimoires are going to do. How much more powerful has Yuno become? He's already the top of the class. But this chapter made me a huge Yuno fan. And it made me a huge Black Clover fan. And that's why I had to highlight it. Which brings me to my next highlight, which is Mission Yosakura Family. And this is another manga that I've been highlighting a lot, but it definitely deserves it this week. This was a great Mission Yosakura Family chapter. And I gotta say, Momo Yosakura, the father, scares me. He is freaky in this chapter. I have a lot of questions about him, but his whole demeanor with his kids is scary. I love the stuff where Kyoichiro is the one who finds him. It's so interesting to me. It's a very interesting dynamic. Kyoichiro being this kind of very tortured kid is a very interesting dynamic, and I think that's what made Kyoichiro what he is. And Kyoichiro is my favorite character, so of course I'm all into that. But I love this family. I love the fight together. I love that they're all there confronting Momo as a family. They're saying, you're dead to us. Be the father that you were before you left, and we're content with that. And they're going to go on with that, and I love that. But ultimately, this chapter told us that Momo is in some way Tsubomi Yosakura. That he is in some way genetically the same. And so my question becomes, is he made in a lab? What does that mean? I'm so intrigued and interested by that. And so I just wanted to highlight it just to bring that up. I'm very intrigued and very interested in that. In that thing. So yeah, those are my highlights this week. My mentions this week, my honorable mentions. This week I have Undead Unluck was great. Sakamoto Days, The Elusive Samurai, P6, or whatever we want to call that manga, and of course, Blue Box. Let me tell you guys, it took everything in my power not to highlight Blue Box this week, because it was also really good, but I left it off since I've highlighted it the past 2 weeks. But definitely read those manga. Read everything in the magazine. It was all good, but those are the ones that I wanted to mention specifically this week. But guys, thanks so much for listening to this video. If you had anything to say, leave it in the comment section. I love to communicate with you guys and to talk about Weekly Shonen Jump or any suggestions that you have for other manga or really anything manga related at all. I love to talk with you guys in the comment section, so definitely do that. Like this channel or like this video rather, and subscribe to my channel. I bring you these weekly newsletters every single week, and don't forget, we are still doing the Pillow Fort podcast. Me and Kate are going through One Piece right now. We just dropped the Orangetown arc video like yesterday, so definitely check that video out if you haven't seen it already, and go give that video some love too. But for now, this is Shonen Express signing off.